Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio. Ready to revolutionize your franchise with AI? Franchise Now empowers franchises with advanced AI solutions, automatic processes, and enhanced marketing strategies. From personalized customer interactions to predictive analytics, we help you harness AI to drive growth and efficiency. Transform your franchise with the power of AI. Visit Franchise Now to learn more and take your business into the future. Now, here's your host.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Franchise Marketing Radio, where we explore the exciting world of franchise business models and bring you stories of success, innovation, and the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm your host, Rob Gandley, and today we have a special episode featuring two prominent leaders from a brand called Pet Once, a company dedicated to enhancing the health and wellness of pets through high-quality nutrition. Joining us today is DeNita Carani, president of Pet Once, and newly appointed Jessica Riedy, vice president of operations. We're thrilled to have you both on the show today, and thanks again for being here. I'll start with you, DeNita. Maybe you could help the audience know a little bit more about the brand and kind of where you're headed from here.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Rob. It's great to be here today. As you said, we are a brand dedicated to pet health and wellness, focused on nutritional food, supplements, as well as really healthy treats and chews for dogs and cats. We are a growing brand. Today, we have 161 franchise territories owned by about 110 franchise owners. So we do have a good portion that have more than one territory. And, we combine the convenience of a brick and mortar location with the community integration of delivery service, as well as participation in local community events such as farmers markets or brewery events, arts and crafts festivals, really making the brand accessible to a lot of people in the communities that we serve.
I love that. Jessica, I want you to chime in and just kind of share a little bit about your background and tell us a little bit about your new position here. But tell us about your background, how it came to be, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. So I've been with Pet Once since January of this year. Prior to joining Pet Once, I have lived my entire career in some form of operations management. I was started with a national process serving company, and I was there for 12 years and then kind of dipped my toes in some other areas. But when I found this position, they kind of tied in my love for pets and my love for operations. I felt like it was the perfect opportunity for me. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, let's just say that I have pictures of my two lab retrievers that aren't with me anymore. They're all over my place. I have their little memorials. I love dogs. I love pets in general, but I love nutrition was always so important. And I love what you said, DeNita, about the community ties. And you mentioned a bunch of things that really make it just think like a fun business too. But I do love, franchising does have a lot of ties to the community. So I do want to get into those details. But let's just dive in. I do want to talk a little bit about the opportunity, right, to start one of these. And I know you mentioned 160 locations, 161 operating and 110 owners. I just want to point that out. Let me ask the question. I think that's pretty unique, isn't it, to have that many multi-unit owners? Or what are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's also a testament to the process. Most franchises, usually start with one, but if it goes well, you do more. And that's a testament to so many of them wanting to have more than one location. Tell me a little bit, either one of you, tell me a little bit about, is that intentional? Is that part of how you kind of set that up in the beginning when you roll things out and onboard folks?
And so, I think it's really our team listening to the franchise candidate in what are their goals and objectives, right? Are they what we would call an empire builder, where they want to build this large scalable business where they are working less in the business and more on the business and managing a team of people? Or Are they somebody who wants to be in the day-to-day, talking to customers, making deliveries, being in the store, and really guiding them through our franchise discovery process based upon what they tell us their goals are? And I think it's really important that we not preconceive what success looks like for the franchise owner. Success looks different to different people based upon their own goals and objectives. And so I think it's really incumbent upon us to help them uncover that. Sometimes they come into the discovery process and they're not really even sure. Though I tell people all the time, we have franchisees from any professional background you can think of, right? We have people from sales, marketing, operations, finance, the medical field, the veterinary field, you name it. We have people from that background. The one unifying characteristic across the board is that they are passionate about pets and they are passionate about health and wellness. And that combination is what makes somebody successful in our brand.
Well, and I just think of my animals. I love them so much. I look back on like not knowing as much as we know now. Like, and I think it's so important to, we do know better ways of doing it. We should treat our pets like people too, in a sense, right? Because I think if they could talk, we would know more.
Right. Sure.
Like I always was
Absolutely.
concerned they were in more pain than I realized, or maybe it was bother. But anyway, nutrition and health and wellness, very important. So tell me a little bit about that process for Pet One. So it's very important. Your platform is about nutrition and quality nutrition. So from an operational perspective, and Jessica, if you have thoughts about this, you can chime in as well. What does it take to ensure that you have the right relationships? Are you formulating some of this yourself? Are you doing some of that? Are you partnering with companies that you vet? How do you actually get that end result to be the quality that and maintain that from location to location?
Yeah, so I'll try to take that one. We definitely have a lot of our own formulas. All of our dog food is our own. It's Pet Once branded. We work very closely with our manufacturer to make sure that the ingredients are high quality and exactly what we want to see in those recipes. We also have some private labeled products with different partners that we have. We have a nutrition expert on our corporate staff that will help us and make sure that any of the ingredients that are less than ideal, as we like to say, are not included in any of those. We're very stringent on that. We just met with a potential vendor today and saw a couple of the ingredients just were not something that we were going to be able to move forward with. So, we have to be able to look at everything as a whole and make sure that it's going to make sense for our brand. Our owners are very passionate about that. And, we only put the best things out there, but we do have a lot of partners, and vendors that we do work with, as well as our private label companies, or products that we have in house. Again, they all have to be proved internally based on what they have to offer and their ingredients and their benefits that they can offer to the pets. But we do have quite a large network that we're working with.
Exactly. And that really at the end of the day for the franchisee is sort of automatic in a sense, I guess. I'm sure they interact with you on feedback and what products are popular and it evolves. But at the end of the day, it's not on them. And I would guess that's hard, right? That would be a lot of work to try to keep up with products and quality and making sure things happen the way you need them to. And that's basically your job. So tell me more about operations. Let's talk about this for a minute. So you probably have a vision for some things you want to accomplish. Tell me about some of the exciting projects that you're working on. I know we talked a little earlier about some technology initiatives, but you want to frame just a couple of things that you're working on and you're kind of proud that you're working on them and you want to share it with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the bigger things that my operations team and I are focusing on is that we did implement a system-wide POS system and e-commerce system that everybody's on the same platform. We just finished that rollout. a little bit earlier this year. And for the next, year and a half, we're going to be working with them to make any enhancements that we need to see specifically for our owners, to make their lives easier and smoother and more efficient. So we've come a long way there. And we continue to focus on that every day, to make sure that we're getting the best for everyone. Another huge thing that is very important to me are those vendor partnerships. I'm working really hard to build more preferred partners that we're working with. So the ones that offer the best products, the highest quality, the best ingredients, that can work directly with our network of owners, our system of owners, to give them, the best pricing, so that they can have the best markups, but also products that they believe in. So we've launched several in the last couple of months and have a whole line on the platform that we are working with to try to get all of those details ironed out. So those are definitely two of the biggest things that I've been spending a lot of my time on.
Huge things, right? So
Definitely.
I'll go to the last part real quick, and just I'm sure that's an ongoing, battle of margins, right? Like thinking about margins, and now we're all feeling this situation that we're in with the economy and the inflation that I know we all feel in many ways. And so tell me, I mean, you're proactive anyway, you're doing this stuff anyway, you always want to be efficient. Part of this is quality, so it's not all about price, but I'm sure some of the pressures of like an inflation issue like we're having now, how does that impact things? Does it impact things? Maybe some of these buyers don't think of that. Maybe, or does it? And is that sort of part of what you guys are always thinking about, is how do we become more efficient or increase those margins?
Yeah. So I think inflation always plays a part in it in any type of retail situation. So what I've been trying to focus on, now that we have this, one POS system that everybody is on, and where we can start gathering the data to see what our actual buying power is, and narrow down those top vendors and those top partners that we can make those partnerships even stronger. When we're able to do that and get more buy-in from our system, we're able to also get better pricing from them. Again, though, it is all about the product. If somebody wants to come in and give us 75% off, but it's not up to our standards, we would still never do it. So it has to meet or exceed our standards in order to even consider working with those partners. But we've been very lucky in that most of the partners that we work with are also small businesses. They're not out there working with a lot of the big box stores. So we don't have to compete with their pricing. And they are willing to work with us on a more personal level, to get us what we need.
Yeah, you guys are aligned in terms of the impact you're trying to make in the world.
Yeah.
So I could see that. Yeah. But brilliant. When you think of e-commerce and POS, I want to talk about marketing and I want to talk about growth and all the juicy stuff, but that's brilliant. And I've been in those situations where you're collecting that data. It's smart. You got to track it, got to collect it, but that is to be able to then go back to your partners and show them, like help them see it if they're not seeing it on their side. Hey, we're doing this level of work with you this past year. Could we, it gives you the leverage to always keep those relationships where they need to be. And that you can't, though, if you're not tracking it. So it's great that you guys have that platform in place. So that's an operational benefit. And I'm gonna switch over to DeNita to talk a little marketing, because I know she's forced to know everything about, even though she's the president, she knows about the marketing. So tell me a little bit about this project on the e-commerce side, the POS. Tell me what your hopes were, why some of the reasons you did it, and where that, kind of where you see that unfolding into the
Yeah, absolutely. So, the initial impetus to get started on this was standardization. Before we started the project, we had people on 4 different platforms. And so we had zero insight from a system-wide level into anything. And the functionality was very different at all of the different platforms. And so we wanted to make sure that we could bring people up under one platform. From a marketing perspective, a couple of things that this has enabled us to do. Number one, rather than have subdomains for each location's individual website, they now have their own URL, which then allows us to maximize our search engine optimization because we're doing it on the main corporate website, but they're also doing it on their individual sites. So now you're layering that search engine optimization, really being able to drive business at the local level, which is what we want. We want people to drive to their local site. We have just begun phase one of our marketing automation, which was we needed to be on the new point of sale and e-commerce platform in order to execute on marketing automation. So now our franchisees are able to capture information from visitors to their website and put them into just think about when you visit a website, right? The first thing that happens is a pop-up comes up and asks you either for your email or your phone number so that business can communicate with you. So phase one of our marketing automation is that we're seeing amazing conversion there, both with people giving us their contact information as well as utilization of that welcome coupon. So we're converting them into customers that are spending money that we then can continue that conversation with. And then another
the welcome coupon, real quick on that is I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
To clarify the welcome coupon. So you're saying that works really well. That's one of your main lead magnets. I just love tying that online to offline because the difference really is that these people they're near you.
Right. Exactly. Because we're driving them to the local site. They're not getting it from us at a corporate level. They're getting it from their local Pet Ones.
Exactly.
Right.
So great. So you're helping the owner build his base, his audience, if you will. The sort of idea of this online audience's influence. We always think about that and hear about that. It's like every franchisee nowadays has to be a local influencer, right?
That's right. They do.
So go ahead, keep going. So you're collecting.
So, and of course, we're going to continue to build out the capabilities of that. And the key word there is automation. These are small business owners that don't have time on a day-to-day basis to put an email campaign or an SMS campaign strategy together to write the content, to capture the leads, to do the workflow. So we're automating that for them as a part of this move in our technology. So we're going to increase not only their lead flow, but their conversion rate without them having to do anything different than they're doing today. Their job is to drive people to the website. We're going to put the automation in place to turn them into customers. So that's a really exciting piece that's going on in the marketing world right now. And like I said, we're seeing fantastic success with that. We will continue to move that along and enhance that to include behavior-based workflows. So if somebody spends time on your website but doesn't buy anything, there's a way to capture their contact information and then begin to market to them. If they create a cart and don't buy it, there's an abandoned cart flow. If they buy food but they're not buying supplements, they get a different set of messages. And so we will continue again over the next 12 to 18 months to just maximize those communication flows to not only increase the number of customers, but to increase the average transaction size, right? So the way to success is to have more customers that spend more money. And so we're focused on both of those outcomes with this project.
That's pro level. If I were consulting, I'd tell you to do all that. And it's not that hard. Just go do it. No.
Right, exactly.
But that is, no, I'm kidding. It's hard to, but it was very, very clear that you guys thought that through strategically because you're right. There's only so many levers we can pull. One of them is the quantity of customers, but one of the easier ones is the amount they spend. And that just is paying attention a little bit. And you're right. It's hard to do that without technology. The flows are about timing and personalization and relevance, right? And when you feel that as a buyer, you're like, they know me. They care about me. And it's just a little something that you could do. But I could see why that would be massively impactful.
It really is huge.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about how you take, and by the way, that what you described to me is like, when I think of all the digital stuff in my career, that's what we've always done digital wise. Like if we were just purely digital, like we played all these advanced games, and I felt like the offline world took a while to catch up. But we have to treat our offline customers like online customers because they're
Right.
both. They're online and offline. So, but that's what it sounds like you've got in place. So, congrats on having all that in place now. So just in terms of one thing that came to mind when we're talking about the quality of the product, right? The integrity of the brand. I can, being a dog lover, and I know we're all dog lovers here, or I should say pet lovers, but basically I know how important it is, right? So you would never, ever like compromise on quality. So tell me a little bit about when a new owner starts with you. Is there, how do you approach getting people up to speed on how, like if they come from different backgrounds, they might love dogs, but they might not have a whole lot of information about quality nutrition, healthcare for animals. And how do you approach that? And tell us a little bit about the onboarding and training and pathway to getting started with you guys.
I can take that one. So once we have a new franchise owner come on board, we do pretty extensive training with them on the nutrition piece. I mentioned earlier that we have a director of nutrition on our corporate staff, and he helps us a lot with that. So all of the franchise owners go through several hours of remote training before they come to our week-long in-person training that is solely focused on the nutrition piece. And that covers our food and our recipes, but also some of our top partners and those brands. And then once they are in training in person, Jeff, he comes to those as well. And we have a whole day focused just on the nutrition and education piece. But then there's a lot of follow-up after that as well. We have tons of resources that we have on our internal intranet. We have webinars on a regular basis with our partners who go over all of the benefits and the health benefits and all of those details of those things, to keep people educated and on top of everything that we are doing and offering. So it's pretty extensive.
Yeah. So tell me, and just connect that a little bit to the business model too. So I know that retail, so describe the different revenue streams and ways that things are operated. I know there's a subscription, there's delivery, there's retail. Can you help me understand the onboarding process, what's getting set up, the components of what's getting set up, and why that's in place, right? Related to what it's related to, a revenue stream or what have you. Can you help us understand that part, like what gets put into place during onboarding?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I completely followed your question, but
well, like are we building out? Like is there is there a need for an a retail location out of the gate?
Oh, okay.
Is there any vehicles, delivery vehicles, what all goes into the build out of the?
I'm so sorry. I understand now.
Oh, no.
Yes. So, when we have an owner complete the training, in person, we do expect them, and they want to launch right away. They want to launch their business as quickly as possible. They do that by launching their e-commerce site, as well as the mobile portion of their business. So that is the part that DeNita mentioned earlier, where they are spending time within their communities at different types of events. So the farmers markets, the breweries, the arts and crafts shows, those types of things. And that is to build those relationships, and start bringing the Pet One's name into their communities. Within 12 months of coming on with us, they are also opening a retail location. So that part is done, after they're comfortable with the mobile piece of it, because it is something that works together to be the most successful even after they open retail. So once they open retail, they still do those events, attend those events, usually a little lesser of those. But it's still a very important piece of our business. So they launch all three, the e-commerce, the mobile portion and then the retail portion.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm assuming that it's first of all, speed to market, speed to cash flow, learning the business, building your base, which doesn't have to be retail visitors, right? So you can have an online base that's really big and maybe some come to the store, maybe some don't, but they meet you, right, locally, which is really cool. So like that makes sense to me, like that you would start mobile with e-commerce, right? As you're building momentum, right? Now you open your retail to augment things and give you a base of operation, but it makes sense. Is it on purpose? I think it is. It seems like you would, go ahead, DeNita. Tell me a little bit of
totally
science
on
behind all
purpose.
that.
And, it makes us so unique in any retail, regardless of what the product is. Think about any other retail franchise concept. They're not earning revenue, building customer loyalty, or even building their own confidence in their business until that retail location is open. With ours, we want them to leave training and be in business the next week, right? We want them out talking to customers. We tell them, fail faster. Go have a conversation with somebody that you don't know all the answers to, get their phone number, contact us, we'll help you with the answers, and then it gives you a chance to go back to them, right? And so they're building revenue, they're building a loyal customer base, and they're building their own confidence while they are finding the right retail location. They're going through that build out process. And what we see is our franchisees that follow that timeline, right? That are getting their retail space open in that somewhere between 8 and 12 months after training, the hockey stick of their revenue is unbelievable. Most of them double their revenue in the first month that their store opens, and then it just continues to accelerate. But it's because they've already built that loyal following and they have built their own confidence.
So that loyal follow. So let's get into that loyal following part, because I think you could say that phrase and it's like, sure, build a loyal following. But again, some intent and thought has to go into how does that work? Why would someone be loyal to you? And so I think, like, again, I'm just kind of reading from outside, but if I were at some kind of event or like a farmer's market and I saw Pet Once there and you guys are educating me on high quality nutrition for my dog, issues, ailments, things that can be addressed. That's part of that, right? Now you're saying, wait, these folks are different. This is a unique, and so anyone that really cares, that's where the loyalty can be built. But tell me a little bit about these community contacts. And I'll tell you, I was just in visiting a friend in an apartment community. And out here in Colorado, there's a lot of them, and they build a lot of amenities now. And so there's a nice lobby in a beautiful lounge area, and a big table is set up with a bunch of dog bones wrapped up, and a little dog water is for people's dogs. I'm thinking you could just go to every single one of them, put a little Pet Once, little bones, and put them there and done. Like everybody would immediately. I mean, I just love businesses where you can get out there in the world and interact. So let me figure out the question. Okay. I want to ask this question first. I want to go to this world we're living in today where we're very virtual, a lot of us, right? We're living in a screen-based world that seems to be accelerating. I feel like in the world of franchising and many of the models that are involved, especially one like this, it's very community focused, right? Very much about creating connections with people. And I really feel like that's going to be like a thing. I think it's more important than people realize in the future. I think we need this connection. And I think business owners that can bring that to, partner with other business owners, partner with other good movements, right? About pets. Pets are so important to so many things about living your life. So how do you kind of see that playing out into the future? You have this great way of growing businesses by partnering in your community. How do you see that playing out as being a real advantage for the future? And do you think of the way I'm talking, or is that kind of new thought process? Because I really feel like we're starting to move away from that virtual world where it's like, yeah, we don't have to talk to you, just order it, which I know there's plenty of people that want that. But I think it has to do with this community connection stuff. And I think that's going to be more and more important as we get more and more technologically advanced, is what I'm trying to say. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll start and then DeNita can add. But I have thought about this quite a bit, probably because I have an older teenage son. And I see all the technology and, you know, how much screen time everybody is getting. Like you said, everything is virtual. Everything is on the phones and on the laptops. And I mean, there's been countless amounts of like studies where the younger generation is not able to communicate well face to face because of that. So I really, really strongly believe that those community relationships are what already does, but is going to continue to make us stick out, and be, you know, superior. People come in and talk to our owners and their employees and understand that these people genuinely, truly care, about their pets and will do whatever they can to get them the right answers, and to get their pets on the right track. You know, of course, if that's nutrition, or supplement wise, or point them to a veterinarian if that's what's needed, you know. But I really do think that those building those relationships and keeping those customers close and in person, and being willing and open to have those longer conversations on a regular basis with people is going to be even more important, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think, DeNita? Like, this is kind of an interesting angle, and I don't know. I think we'll talk about it more and more in the future. Like, it'll be a thing, right? Like human contact, that's a feature. That's like a premium feature.
It is,
So,
right? And I think that, you know, where we really shine in that is the individual consultation piece. Like you can go online and you can fill out a form and the AI can say, you should do this and this and this, right? But to have somebody who's educated about digestive issues, skin and coat issues, right? Licking of paws, scratching behind the ears, right? Somebody that's educated about how nutrition can impact those things and being able to have that one-on-one conversation about, tell me what your dog or cat is eating. How long have they been on that? Do you see these issues all the time, or do they flare up during certain times of the year, right? Just being able to talk all of that through and then make recommendations, not based on some algorithm in a computer, but based on their own personal education and observations. That's a whole different way of thinking about what you're buying for your pet. And it's such a different experience than walking into a big box store and asking, where's the best dog food and having somebody tell you it's on aisle 12. Well, what does that mean? Right?
I was going to say, like, I can't even go to a store nowadays where they'll take me to the product, let alone tell me about it.
Right.
No,
exactly. Because they're also short staffed, right? So, just that personal connection that makes the customer feel important, makes them feel heard, makes them feel valued. And I think that we all want those things in life. I want to feel heard and valued and important when I'm spending my money. And our franchise owners are committed to that.
No doubt. No doubt. It's a topic that lends itself to that. I was talking with some people recently, some consultants, and we were all kind of brainstorming things, and we were coming up with some names for different things related to AI. And one of the things that we kind of all came to was, you probably can imagine like AI to the power, or human to the power of AI. Like, I'm becoming supersized, my productivity, what have you. But we thought of it in the inverse of that. We thought of it as AI to the power of human. AI can enable human ability to a level of creativity, and I just don't think we see it yet. I believe that we just wouldn't have done what we will be able to do because we couldn't do it in the past, but now we can. And so we'll spend more time being human, doing more creative things. So I don't think it takes away, it adds to. I think we'll see that as time goes on. But again, it'll only be contribute to the things we're saying that help these types of businesses succeed, which is those relationships. So I wanted to point out a couple things is I also would say your business model is very sticky too. Like the people that work with you stay with you, probably, I would guess, right?
Yes.
It's a big part of it at least. So that's important. So I wanted to make sure we had a chance before we wrap things up to have both of you give sort of if you had any advice or tips, maybe some idea of where your expansion plans are taking you, right? And what you're looking for in a candidate, right? Any advice for a candidate or somebody that might be interested in even just starting a business. And I can tell, I'll raise my hand. I look at these a lot. And when you have a business as flexible as the one I'm listening to right now, I'd say that's a good start if you love animals. So there you go, because you've done a lot of things to make it work for a lot of personalities and capabilities. Tell me more about that. How would you advise someone that's approaching your brand? Both of you can take this and maybe just, give some advice to anyone that might be thinking about either business or thinking about you guys.
Jessica, why don't you take that one first?
Okay. I think that sorry, having a hard time thinking at the moment. I had it all lined up and then it's not wanting to come out. So okay. So anybody that is thinking about Pet Once as a business, I think that they should really be, somebody that again is super passionate about pets and their well-being, but also wants to do well in a business, that wants to understand our system and our brand and the processes that we have and the model that we have that we know works for people. I think that is super important. And joining any franchise,
Yes.
you realize that that's why you're joining a franchise, right? Is to rely on that model that has been built based on past experience. Data.
I was going to say, Jessica, you don't want a network of entrepreneurs that want to start their own franchise.
Right.
So anyway, that makes sense. Yeah, I got you there. So,
yeah. So I think that's definitely important. DeNita, can you help me out on this one?
Sure, absolutely. I'll be happy to. So I think, one of the first things I was going to say is that they have to be willing to follow the model. We can look around our franchise system and I can cover up the names and I can look at their revenue and I can tell you whether or not they're following the model, right? So I think that's so important. And I have owned a business that wasn't part of a franchise and I've owned a business that was part of a franchise, and it's a different animal. And I think it's really important that somebody considering a franchise be really honest with themselves of, yes, I'm going to have to give up some of the brilliant ideas that I come up with if they don't fit within the model. But what are you going to get in return? I'm going to get best practices that other people have been successful at. I'm going to get a support system when I have questions. I'm going to be able to access the technology, the marketing assets, the team of coaches, in our case, the director of nutrition programs, right? You don't have all of those things when you've got a business of your own. So I think that is one of the things that's most important. I think the other thing is in any business, whether it's Pet Once or whether it's another franchise system, is you have to be patient while the business unfolds. And one of the things that we do see is people get impatient with the results. Well, that marketing thing didn't work for me. Yes, but we told you to do it for 3 to 6 months and it's only been 45 days. So don't give up before it starts to work, right? Farmers markets aren't working for me. You've only been 2 weeks. You need to establish some credibility and then it will start to happen for you, right? So it's that, whether it's in Pet Once or any other franchise or any business in particular, you got to have the stick to it. You got to have the patience to let the success play out for you.
And I'll just, contribute to what you're saying. I don't think every business model lends itself to networking at the same degree. And I think this kind of model does because it's a passionate subject for most people, or not, but I mean, most, especially if you're going to the places where they would be, right? And I don't think you realize you have that opportunity with everything. Like I said, you could probably go into almost any community of
Right.
any sort, retirement communities, apartment communities, offer them little treats for their residents. And that would be free marketing other than the treats themselves.
Right. Exactly.
And you can't do that with every business model, where
No.
it would just that way and be simple. And I could go out and do that, hit 20 places in one morning and have that in place and go and do something the next day. And to me, the veterinarians would be the next day. For me, I'd hit every veterinarian. Like, you don't have that opportunity. So when I think of franchises and following, I think for everything that someone might struggle with and saying, I think I know a better way, there's 10 other things you hadn't thought of that are being done for you. And the goal in a franchise is to follow the system and use your discipline to realize there's so many things you're not aware of right now that are, just trust in the fact that they're being done for you. And for the few things that you think you might know better, just hang in there for a while. Maybe you will be able to contribute and make some change in the future, but until you've gotten further enough along, it doesn't make sense to. And anyone who's run businesses realizes that it wouldn't matter. Just focus, right? Like I said, there's no, it's not going to ever be perfect, but every single thing that you can think of is perfect the way you would do it. And usually, if you're not a business owner already, you probably should recognize that you still need to learn. So that is the key thing I hear from every franchisor is the closer someone can follow the process and system, the better chances of if working out the way everyone wants. So I hear you there. And I love the model. Yeah, I think you just love talking about Pat. She'd be good.
Absolutely. We can teach you the rest.
Yeah.
Of course. That's why I have a podcast, right? Because I can talk. I guess if you're not, maybe there's another tip. If you don't like talking, you might not want to do it. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, so if folks are interested, what's the best way to reach out? What's websites, phone numbers? How do they go about doing that?
So, if they're interested in our products, they can visit petonce.com. If they're interested in the franchise opportunity, it's petonce.franchise.com. I think that's the best way to learn about us and to get in touch with somebody at Pet Once.
Well, thank you both very much. Jessica, any parting words? You good from your side? Anything else you wanted to share?
I do think we wanted to mention our national campaign that we're going to be doing in September.
Yes.
Our national Pat Gives Back. DeNita, do you want to take it or do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah. So I will, because I am so passionate about this. This has been a program that's been available to our franchisees since inception, but this is the first time we're going to do it at a national level. And it's called Pat Gives Back because it's designed for our franchise owners to partner with a local shelter, rescue, canine organization, something in their local community. And they encourage their customers to buy a pound or 10 pounds of food to donate to that local organization. And then the local Pet Once matches that donation. So it effectively is doubled. We have a national goal of 25,000 pounds of food that we want to donate during the month of September. And so this will be available at most Pet Once locations throughout the country from September 1st to September 30th. And we just are so excited at the participation and at the huge number of local organizations that this is going to benefit. Also, from the franchisee side, it's designed to drive business to them because the customer's paying them for that pound or 10 pounds of food, create new connections with people that are excited about what they're doing. And it's at a time of year when they have kind of a lull before we go into the holiday season. So it was very specifically selected for the month of September so that it is a really strategic time frame for our franchisees.
That's brilliant. And that takes so much thought and preparation, but it so uniquely ties to the whole conversation we just had. it's really hooking into those heartstrings that we
Yes.
all have for our animals. And it just takes care of itself. I don't think there's no doubt it's a lucrative initiative, whether you're contributing, right? You're donating, but still it's just it's the way to go. And the term social marketing, I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing as much about it. When we think of social marketing, a lot of people would think of social media. What I'm thinking of is the idea of being socially conscious, right, in your
Right.
community, thinking about how you can make a difference. And I think franchisors that take that initiative upon themselves are at the forefront. And so good job thinking that through, because that's what you need to do, right? That
Yes, for
builds those
sure.
ties. So that's good stuff. Well, thank you. I'm glad that I said that. I don't know. It was a gut thing. Wanted to make sure I asked, was there one more thing? That's always a good strategy. Just one more question. But anyway, I appreciate you both for being here. I am looking forward to hearing more stories from your franchisees about some of the stuff that we just talked about. So hopefully we'll be doing that again. But I want to have you back again in the future. But thanks so much for sharing everything that you have. And I appreciate you both. Thank you both.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Yes, thank you so much.
You got it.